Hey friends, today we're going to make chicken Parmesan meatballs, a simple dish with big flavor. We're going to do this in 3 steps: prepare, cook, and then finally, let's eat. Let's get started. First, preheat our oven to 375 degrees Fahrenheit because we'll bake the meatballs after we fry them. In a large bowl, combine a 1/4 cup of breadcrumbs, half a teaspoon of paprika, half a teaspoon of onion powder, half a teaspoon of garlic powder, half a teaspoon of salt, and half a teaspoon of ground black pepper. Mix everything until well combined. Mixing the breadcrumbs with the spices help distribute the seasonings evenly throughout the meatball mixture, ensuring that every bite is flavorful. Next, grate about a 1/4 cup of Parmesan cheese and give it a little mix. Grating the cheese allows it to melt more easily and blend into the meatball mixture, adding richness and depth of flavor. Now, add a small to medium-sized egg and whisk it until it's well combined. Adding an egg to the meatball mixture acts as a binding agent, helping to hold the ingredients together and keep the meatballs tender and moist during cooking. Once that's done, add the ground chicken and mix everything together with your hands until it's well combined. Next time though, I'll remember to oil my hands to prevent sticking. Now it's time to turn the mixture into meatballs. You can use a tablespoon to keep them somewhat equal in size, or you can just eyeball them. This time, I'm moistening my hands with water to avoid sticking. Gently roll each meatball between your palms to make them smooth and give them a rounded shape. Once that's done, heat a frying pan with some oil over medium-high heat. When the pan is hot, place the meatballs in and pan fry them for about 2 to 3 minutes without moving them so they get nicely browned. Letting the meatballs cook undisturbed for a few minutes allow them to develop a nice brown crust, enhancing both their flavor and texture. After 2 to 3 minutes, flip the meatballs and fry the other side for another 2 to 3 minutes. While those are cooking, bring a pot of water to a boil and season it with 1 tablespoon of salt. This will be for the mashed potatoes. Checking back on the meatballs, once the other side is browned, gently mix them around and add the tomato sauce. Coating the meatballs with tomato sauce not only adds moisture, but also infuses them with flavor as they simmer together. To get all the tomato sauce in the jar, fill it with about 1/2 cup of water, put the lid back on, and shake it all around. Then, pour it in a pot. Give it a gentle mix until the meatballs are well coated, then bring it to a gentle simmer. Once it starts to simmer, cover it and turn down the heat to medium-low heat. Let this simmer for about 10 minutes. While the meatballs are simmering, it's time to peel the potatoes. You'll need about 2 pounds, which could be either 2 large potatoes or 3 medium-sized ones. Feel free to use a kitchen scale to be precise. After peeling them, rinse the potatoes under cold water and chop them into small chunks. Peeling and chopping the potatoes into smaller chunks increases the surface area, allowing them to cook faster and more evenly. Alright, the pot of water is boiling now. Let's add the potatoes in and boil them until they are fork tender. Cooking the potatoes until they are fork tender ensures they are soft enough to mash easily, resulting in a creamy texture. While that's happening, let's check on the meatballs. I'm going to grate some mozzarella cheese over the top and then transfer this to the oven. Bake the meatballs uncovered for 10 minutes or so, or until the cheese are nicely melted. Now, back to the potatoes. Yep, these are fork tender, so let's drain them. Place the pot back to the stove and add 2 to 3 tablespoons of butter into the pot to melt a bit while the potatoes drain. Once drained, add the potatoes back into the pot, sprinkle in about 1/2 teaspoon of salt, and add 3 more tablespoons of butter. Adding butter and cream enriches the flavor and creates a smooth, creamy consistency in the mashed potatoes, making them delicious and comforting. Next, I use a potato smasher to mash the potatoes. Add the rest of the butter and keep mashing. You can give it a taste and add more salt as needed. After a few mashes, I'll add some cream or whole milk, about a quarter cup. Keep mashing, and at this point, the mashed potatoes will start to look creamy and fluffy. You can add more cream if needed, but for me, these are perfect. Let's check on the meatballs now. The cheese is nicely melted and they're all done too. All right, let's serve everything in a bowl, sprinkle some green onions on top, and let's dig in.